So we're going to basically cover the same topic we covered last week, but we have all different panelists. We have and it's not going to be 6 people, although I did try and get a couple more just in case. But I think tonight's panel is going to be a lot of fun. We have Socrates is gaming again.
Hello.
Apparently seems to be what he does on my stream is he comes in and he just immediately fires up the game. Or maybe he just doesn't turn it off. But that's okay. And we have Hen up at the top. She's awesome. She's been on the show a couple of times. And Beth, we all know. And of course, the border jumper himself, my man, Jake Varr.
What's up, brother?
Who that last little bit of metal was for you. You know that, right?
Yes, I do know that.
Theme song. I just want to know that's my theme song.
Hell yeah, bro.
If I ever have a walkout song,
yep.
That's it right there.
It suits you. I like
for
that
sure.
one a lot too.
Yeah.
So, so that's by the way, anybody who was like, hey, just got to have that song. That song is by I believe he's Swedish,
of course,
rock band, rocker guy. He does a lot of different formats. His name is Def Lev, DEFLEV, Def Lev, and the song is titled "I Don't Give a Fuck."
Nice.
So you don't have to search real hard for it.
Def Leb. Okay.
LEV. Yeah.
Lev. All right.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So you can seek that out.
Hell yeah.
And it's pretty good. He has some other stuff too that's a little bit different. Yeah. And so there we go. And what we're talking about tonight, in case nobody was aware, we're basically there's been like 3 or 4 different versions of this topic. The one that I'm most comfortable with is has feminism ruined modern dating? That's one I'm most comfortable with. You guys we can bat this around and get a little bit clearer. We can refine the topic if you like, but that's as close as I could get to like all encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
No, it's good. Yeah, it's open.
Good with that?
I like it.
Yeah, it's okay. Good. And I'm gonna do a little bit of a monologue here now that I've introduced everyone and talked to everybody and basically do what I do, which is run my mouth. I've got to we got to talk about a couple of things. I want to lay kind of a baseline here of what. I'm sorry. My Discord's beeping. I apologize. Gibbs is trying to help me get Twitch up and running. I'll deal with it. I'm just going to tell him I'll deal with it later. Sorry, I fucked up Twitch. All right, so sorry guys, I got totally distracted there. So for whatever reason, I set it up like I always do for Twitch to run. It didn't start, and so whatever happened. So I think there are 2 aspects to how feminism's really affecting dating, other than just either you're pro or against it, right? We have, we can talk about the erosion of the family unit. And I'm certain we will. We'll get into all of that. And the various dynamics on both sides. Obviously, feminists thinks there's a power imbalance, and so they want equality in all things, and they don't. And there's different metrics that they want to measure that by. We'll get into that as well. But one of the things I think a lot of people really miss is that when we start talking, especially about the red pill movement and the and MGTOW and some of these other these men's advocacy movements, PUA, all of that. One of the things you really have to remember and realize, or maybe you don't need to remember it, you need to realize it, is that the red pill can't exist without feminism, so they have no reason to want it to be dialed back.
That's a good point.
You can't, without easy women, without women being willing to strip at the drop of a hat because you have a nice car, you have money, the red pill doesn't go anywhere. PUA doesn't go anywhere. If you can't talk a woman out of her clothes because she's chaste and she has values and she has morality, then the red pill they don't go anywhere. So without feminism, red pill kind of sucks, right? So they need red pill they need feminism for red pill to work. Now and which is why you never hear them actually publicly call out feminism and say that we need to get rid of it. They will talk about how feminist women are horrible in all of this. But I'm not hearing anybody type on a keyboard. Is anybody banging on a keyboard? Somebody's like, okay.
All I hear is
I'm
the
good.
gaming.
Oh, I can't hear it. So maybe I need to turn my speakers are turned up pretty good. So the so I think that needs to come into this discussion as well. Last week honestly last week was it was fun, but we really didn't get anywhere. So the chat can hear it. Okay. Yeah, I can't hear it. So
I think it's the gaming. The click.
Yeah,
the
it's Socrates.
Yeah.
Just
probably, yeah.
Yeah, just mute yourself when you're, I guess, doing that. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, apparently they can hear you game. I can't hear him gaming, so I guess
can hear it
I
really
said,
loud.
well, because I can't hear what's going on in YouTube. So I'm not listening to YouTube right now.
I'm not listening to YouTube. I'm just listening to the.
Yeah.
This is the only thing I
The
have.
broadcast.
Audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So anyway, so I think that's something that we probably should dive into at some point, or I think that it's going to come into play during the conversation. And I kind of wanted to just kind of put it out there early. Honestly, I consider a lot of the red pill movement to be basically men's feminism, right? So, I've been accused many times of being red pill. However, I am merely red pill adjacent. We're in the same neighborhood, but I have a nicer house and I'm cooler, right? So that's how right. I have better stuff. So anyway, let's go around and hear what everybody thinks about feminism, where it's affecting dating, and what just get the initial takes on it. How about that? Let's do that. Now let's start with the ladies. Ladies first. Beth, please lead us off.
Well, first of all, I'm 41, so seen a whole lot of dating, although I didn't do a whole lot of it myself. But I was definitely around while my friends were dating, and I had a family at home, and I can definitely see how feminism has changed the expectations of women as well as the treatment of men across the board. I mean, whether we're talking dating or marriage, and I think even the church has really fallen prey to it. And yeah, I completely agree with you that red pill is just men. It's the version of feminism for men, and I think that it's kind of shitty that they've been put in a position where they've had to create that ideology in order to compete with I guess you could call it compete with it. But
okay, all right, that's a pretty good opening. Hen, how about you? Where are you at with feminism?
With feminism, modern day feminism, I feel like it's kind of unnecessary because I feel like it's trying to claim something that we already have. I feel like a lot of women have fought for our rights, fought for the right to vote and all this stuff, but now it's gone to the point where it's doing too much, where men need to be quiet, men don't need to be on cases. It's going beyond being equal. So that's how I feel about feminism kind of right now. I think it's asking for a little bit too much.
Okay. All right. Jake Var, how about you?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'll just be straight up. Feminism's just a fucking toxic wasteland of garbage that is launched out to society. Now, I don't know. I'm sure Grid hasn't been in the dating scene for a long time. Beth, I'm sure
years.
Okay, there you go.
Years,
And I'm sure
years.
Beth hasn't been in there either. But I will tell you, yeah, like, for most of my 20s, I was touring and doing music and stuff like that. And I did rack up a pretty good body count during that time because, yeah, a lot of these chicks are pretty loose, you know? It doesn't take too much to somewhat impress some of these girls. And in a way, yeah, if you kind of think about it, I wouldn't call Red Pill, I guess, being the combatant or the feminism, I guess you could say, call it that. But I think it's just the same thing like in the 80s, you know? It's just the rock star lifestyle that they kind of promote, you know? Like, oh, yeah, fucking go get laid, make money, and XYZ, right? But I think a lot of people, once they get older, like into their 30s, they kind of grow out of that, especially a lot of men. But what we see with the modern day scene is that a lot of these women, especially they're young, along with the internet and feminism of telling them that, you know, fat is beautiful and every woman thinks they're a 9, it's created something that I like to call 49ers, right? And I'm not talking about the football team, but I'm talking about women that are 4s that believe themselves to be 9s. Those are 49ers. It's created a lot of that type of mentality, especially across the internet, where you have these fat chicks, you know, posting provocative pictures of themselves, and they're still getting attention by these desperate men. And so they believe in their mind that they are, you know, they're 9s, when in reality they're 4s, right, or 3s, etc. They're the 49ers. So I think it's damaged the modern dating scene in a lot of ways to where, you know, a lot of women don't really care to date just average dudes or average looking guys. And it's also kind of stunt the growth of a lot of men's games. You know, a lot of men kind of spend a lot of time online and, you know, they can't go out there and just fucking speak to a woman, right? Like when I was in my 20s, I was speaking to women at least. I wasn't fucking, you know, online presence does help though. The online presence and pictures and the music that I put, all that shit does help. Don't get me wrong. But I was doing a little bit more, you know, cold approach stuff at the time. So yeah, I think it's stunted the growth of men's game as well with modern day feminism. So I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And finally, Socrates, my man, what's up? What do you got?
Oh, we can't hear you.
Oh, you're
muted.
You muted yourself. Get on mute.
Still muted. No.
All or nothing. All or nothing, I guess. Huh?
There you go.
Testing.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
gotcha,
There you
yeah.
are.
I got this. It's a Razer mic I got when I started streaming during the pandemic, and it's been really good to me. But if I like move it a little bit, all of the connections sort out, everything's got a whole thing again. So yeah, I think that feminism is the thing that can finally fix dating. Whoa, crazy. Okay. For a long time, for decades, we've been talking about how our divorce rate is like 50%. Oh, for a while, you know, you got married, everybody stayed married, he was happy, you know, kids got beat up because mom and dad weren't happy, they didn't really spend any time with them. But, you know, everything was hunky-dory. And then as soon as women are allowed to have credit cards and buy property and have jobs and stuff like that, suddenly the divorce rate skyrockets. Okay. Is this really because marriages were perfect and everybody was happy and then the world got corrupted and destroyed? Or is it possible that maybe there's a few people who are sticking together because they didn't really have any other options? Maybe the fact that people can get divorced means that domestic violence can actually decrease. It means that people can stop having this, you know, everybody knows the kind of like boomer cartoon. It's like, oh, you know, what's the punchline? Like, I hate my wife, right? I can't wait until my wife is dead. Oh, my wife won't let me do this. My wife won't let me do that. This is like the mentality for so long in America of what marriage is, of what relationships are. It's like, oh, men like to have sports and have fun, and women just ruin everything. And even like the men going their own way is just like, oh, I don't want to deal with women. There's a chance now for people to actually come together, men and women, as like full human beings and talk about, okay, what do you want in a life? What do you want in a relationship? Everybody has some autonomy. Nobody just has to be together because they have no other options. This makes things more complicated, right? So there's issues, there's things that need to get resolved. But I would like for people to consider that maybe the fact that things are in some ways more complicated than they used to be in terms of you just marry somebody, move in together, you have kids, you know, maybe you don't actually like them, maybe you don't share values, you grow apart and you have to to stick together and they start just abusing each other, maybe that's not the only way that the world can be. And at the same time, there's also like economic things that have changed. It's kind of hard to buy a house now. That's more like globalization or globalism or whatever, changing economic currents more than just like, women getting credit cards or whatever, right? So I think this is a really, really interesting topic, and I think there's a lot to talk about here. Thanks so much for having me on.
No worries, man. I think it is multifaceted. It's an interesting. You brought up some interesting points. Does anybody want to address anybody's openings or anything like that? Does anybody want to go?
Well, I'll start off with this. As far as like Socrates' point of view, where it's like, well, what is it really feminism, or is it just that now people just have so many options that we're leading to, more divorces nowadays than ever, right? Because that is true. We have a higher divorce rate now than we did pre-1960s, right?
Yep.
When feminism really got its way into like, the fucking 1969's, what do you call that? Stockwood, right? And the feminist movement was really at its height. Yeah, Woodstock.
Summer of Love.
Summer of Love. There you go. That's what I'm talking about, right? The sexual revolution is what I'm talking about. But what we did see is that, even if you compare like common law marriages, right, which is usually people that aren't actually married, but married because they live together, compared to actual marriages, you mentioned something about the domestic violence between those two. You could see that there's more domestic violence in common law, I guess you could call marriages, than actual marriages. You do see that going up as the rates go down. That when people just partner up for whatever fucking reason, it doesn't lead to any more commitment or less cheating or domestic violence in general. So that's why I say, like, when feminism says tells ladies to get married later in life, which we see that now, that I think the average age is 30, Grid, or 32, something like that. I think
but I think the average age is really misleading because the way they tabulate it is just kind of off. But I do believe it is creeping up.
Yeah,
because basically the average age of marriage is in this, at least in this country, the way it's tabulated right now is they include people who have been divorced, right? So what they're not doing is the average age of first-time marriages.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah, I see what you mean.
Right. So you have a lot of people getting married in their 40s and 50s and even into their 60s. That fucks up everybody else's average.
Well, not only that, even if you get married a second time, you're actually more likely to divorce as well.
Sure.
Or even a third time. That actually goes up the more you do that as well. But
it just gets easier every time with the lack of stable commitments. And I think that comes down to our moral grounding, right?
Yeah.
There could also be people who just, there's going to be some people who just are really tough to live with, or just whatever, who are going to be the people who are just, it's like, hey, let me tell you, I know about marriage. I've been married 11 times.
Yeah. 11 times would be like horrible. So let me just put this out there to the panel. I just even question, do you think that one of the larger reasons for the divorce rate, or just the lack of people being able to get married to start with, is the amount of disagreeableness in modern relationships on both sides, but especially maybe from the female side, where it typically hasn't been in the past, right? Like, one of the things that, men are disagreeable, women are in theory agreeable, and not, which is, there's some science behind that. There's science, but there's a stereotype because there's science behind it, right? Like, I'm not pulling stuff out of my balls.
It's a generalization. But
Grid, women and their fucking opinions, Grid. Damn it. Yeah, I know what you mean. Women and their fucking opinions.
You can track all of this with the downfall of morality in the country. Less people go to church. The churches become more lackadaisical with what they're teaching the youth as they're growing up, and the standards that they're giving for behavior. Parents are no longer, over time become less able to discipline their children, and, and I'm not saying abuse them by any means, but like even just general abuse becomes an issue in some cases. And so then we want to sit here and try to figure out where all of these problems are coming from. This is exactly where it begins.
So I think there's a common issue that can happen when you're looking at say something like rates of domestic violence, right, or like spousal abuse or some kind of issues in relationships. there's an issue that sometimes you see things spike up. So like, this is something that, not to bring in another topic, but just as an example, rates of autism massively spiking over the last 100 years or 20 years or 30 years, like, or rates of left-handedness have increased over time, or rates of people being gay, or rates of people being all kinds of things. For a long time, there's certain things that's just not okay to talk about, are not measured, are swept under the rug. And then at some point you start acknowledging it, and suddenly it looks like this thing is appearing out of nowhere. But really, it's been the problem the whole time. You're only just starting to acknowledge it.
Sure.
So I think sometimes that can be an issue. That's like, disagreeableness between men and women. Look, okay, so I was born in the 90s. I don't even know what the 80s was like, but I've seen 80s movies. And look, the love interest and the hero guy are always like yelling at each other for like 3/4 of the movie, 7/8 of the movie, and then they finally get together or whatever, right? It's some kind of antagonistic
that's
thing.
actually a feminist theme, though. Is the woman being disagreeable like that? I mean, that's Hollywood actually kind of programming people. I don't think, because I'm going to be honest. For the most part, I don't think I don't think Hollywood echoed real life at that point, right?
Yeah, and conflict sells too. Conflict's entertainment, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so I wouldn't use that, but I will say this. And I'm going to give you some yardage here. So I do believe that once the 60s hit, right, and birth control became a thing, and all of these other things became a thing, there was this the sexual revolution and all of that, which, whether you were willing to admit it or not, did have an effect on morality in relationships, and
as did drug use.
And right. Well, I was getting to the massive drug use. I mean, people dropping acid, and just rolling
doing lines of coke and guess what? You see it all in the movies
thing,
too.
Sure, right.
Even media was what's what I'm thinking of here, like grandirizing it, and making it more commonplace. Like, everybody's doing it. So
I also don't like. So one of the things I don't like on the right is I don't really like how on the right people tend to gloss over the fact that there's always been divorce. There's always been people that could not live together, right?
Sure.
It was a lot more rare. It was a lot. People were.
And it was more hush hush. You don't talk about it,
right? Yeah, you didn't talk.
It's not on TV.
And you moved literally. People would move to another town if they got divorced to kind of put that behind them, right?
Yeah.
And I actually kind of sympathize with that. I actually think that's really the right thing to do.
Really?
Yeah.
If you get divorced, why
do you want everybody knowing your damn? This is actually something I really don't understand. Please help me, you younger children.
Okay.
Why do you want everyone to know your fucking business?
Yeah, nowadays women post it on Facebook, Grid. It's like, why the fuck do you? They will celebrate it. They'll put videos of them celebrating a divorce nowadays, right?
So let me
it's lack of shame.
Let me tell you something. Full stop. Let's just say that I came home and my wife had an affair and it was over, and we divided all our shit, got a divorce, and went our separate ways. None of you fuckers would ever know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think the vibe of the show would be different. I think we would feel
right. Yeah. Certainly, the show would change, and it may not exist anymore. But none of you guys would know that happened. It's none of your damn business.
Even being in the same town, it still becomes a problem because that was a big issue with my divorce, was that we still were trying to go to the same places, and that clearly was not going to work. And all of our friends had to pick, and no matter how much
gets messy.
No matter how much I or he ever said, we don't want you to pick a side, they're gonna pick a side.
It's awkward if you both show up always to the same. Yeah.
This is my bar on Tuesdays. Leave.
I play darts here every Tuesday. I don't want to see your face.
You knew that, Beth. Why are you here?
You my pool nights the same night. My fault.
Man, dude's over here picking on Beth. What the hell?
I'm sorry. What's your Hein? Is that how you pronounce it?
It's Hen.
Hen. Okay, Hen. You also don't show up on Tuesdays, all right? It's my dart. It's my dart night at the bar. I don't want you there either. There you go. I'll spread the love.
I mean, okay. So this question of like morality, I would like to maybe poke a couple holes in that. So I'm not talking about cheating. I'm not talking about like that's something I think is just objectively wrong, right? That's a betrayal. But like having different forms of relationships, getting divorced, I think that's a very, very specific conception
It doesn't
of
matter.
morality.
It doesn't matter because
I mean-
here's the thing: is if our values of good and bad, when it comes down to behavior, are falling off in ways, that's automatically going to affect any and every relationship that you have within your life.
But you're just
Let me
defining it as
ask-
falling off. It could be improving. It's just
It could be.
changing. That's a
It could
value
be,
judgment.
but what
instead of
we're
falling
not
off.
seeing, and we're not seeing a whole hell of a lot of improvement.
Well, let me take a shot at something. A couple of shots here. Okay, first,
Couple shots.
couple of them. First, would you agree, Socrates?
Mhm.
Since you're the one that seems to be like you seem to be the lone guy down
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
You're punching up,
Change
and I
my
don't want to
mind.
pick on you. I don't want to pick on you too much, but I
No,
just
please,
want
pick on me.
all right, but this is interesting to me. Would you say that there is a lot of evidence that women have been fed a stream of bullshit about how if they marry somebody and they either just don't like him or they just get bored and it's time and they just feel like it's time to move on, they can just move on, they get half his shit, they get set up for life, and it's all roses for them. Dude gets fucked over, which is fine by them because they don't like that dude anymore. They're on to the next dude. Would you say that is a real thing?
I think so. It's a real thing in the sense that absolutely happens, and there's definitely like I spent I don't know, like a week or something in Miami visiting a friend. We went out to the club like one time. I actually didn't really see that kind of vibe there because it was more like music based. But I could see walking around. It's like I'm sure there's communities where people behave like that. It's
Sure.
nothing like anything that I grew up in. I grew up in a very liberal area, very feminist area. There's no like, oh, I'm gonna get my bag from screwing somebody over. What was the you see that movie Hustlers with it's based on
I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it.
what's her name?
Hustlers.
It's based on like Cardi B's like some of
That's
her
why
life.
that's why I haven't seen it.
Yeah, that's probably why too.
pretty
Socrates is the only
fun
one that's
movie.
seen it.
But yeah, I mean, I'm sure that happens. But I think
Have
that
you ever-
really
have you
is
ever
kind of
heard
a
of a-
media thing. Mostly.
Yeah. Well, have you ever heard of a content creator called Taylor the Fiend?
Taylor
I've heard of him.
Fiend. I don't think so.
He's like a
literally-
vampire. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Sick. Nice.
Yeah, he's kind of he's an animated vampire character that he has this really British kind of accent, really cool
Nice.
persona. But what he covers is all of these women, and he finds new ones every day
Yeah.
that are crying about how they thought they were going to take everything from their ex-husband
Mm.
and they divorce these perfectly good men that they actually don't have anything. A lot of them were like, I shouldn't have got divorced. Now he's with and all of this stuff. And he's like, what the fuck did you think was gonna happen? And there's this one of my favorites is there's this woman, and they're all, and I'm telling you, it's like the worst TikTok trend ever.
Mm-hmm.
These women are in their car with their phone on the steering wheel or what the fuck ever. I don't know how they do it, but they're always in their car and they're always crying and they're always like
I love the car videos.
Oh my God.
ranting.
Pretty hilarious.
I think it's
Yeah.
like maybe it's just like basic bitch behavior. I don't know.
Yeah.
But whatever it is, it's always that way. And so,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm being a little bit hyperbolic. I'm sure there were other videos, but one of my favorite is this woman is crying because she thought she was going to get the house in the divorce.
Mm-hmm.
All of her friends had told her that she was going to end up with a house and he was going to have to pay for it. And she had taken all of this bad, stupid ass advice from people who just wanted,
Yep.
just being bitches.
Yeah.
And
They were just saying stuff
and
that
they were
made
like,
no
"We're
consequence.
selling it. My house sold today. I have nowhere to live."
Mhm.
and all these, and I'm like, what did you think was going to happen?
And
I mean, look,
they
this
think
is-
they're going to get the kids full time, but now
Uh-huh.
we're moving into a more 50-50 shared custody situation, which
Yeah.
I think is wonderful.
That's
I think
great.
it's
Yeah,
super
yeah.
important for kids. But, you know, I think the problem is that the family courts have been set up to kind of, I guess for lack of a better word, rob one side or the other for so long.
Yeah, it's definitely the family courts are becoming back. A double raid. Chris Lestrange and Mike Ball raided me?
Hell yeah.
Ballers. You guys are ballers. Mikey Balls obviously has balls.
Yep.
And he's a baller. And, Chris Lestrange is the dude.
Yeah. I wanted to piggyback on something that Grid said earlier. Earlier, Grid was talking about the birth control stuff. Now, I wanted to ask Socrates because this is another thing that I think...
another leftist. Do we have a leftist?
I know.
Do we have a leftist in the audience that could come up and back Socrates up? I feel bad.
Yeah,
I'm totally happy.
Because like Socrates is the only lefty, and I think everyone's gonna agree with this take, except maybe you. But I think you're kind of a moderate lefty. Like you're kind of like, yeah, I get it.
I keep telling him that, but he says he is a far left lefty.
He doesn't sound like it. Yeah, because he actually has conversations, so it's weird.
Wild. Maybe your preconceptions about people on the left are a little bit getting updated.
No, they're not, my friend. You're like 1 out of 10 leftists that I ever run into.
1 out of 10, not so bad. Okay.
Yeah,
but
so
yeah, I mean, if it gets really tough out here, I'll pause my game for a little bit.
All right.
If you guys
But
we're definitely not gonna go hard. I mean, look, this is actually for not only entertainment but also like I think this is useful conversation.
No, this is a really good topic. I like this a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I wanted to ask you, Socrates. Like, have you noticed like? When it comes to birth control, right? Feminism usually tells women like go get your bag, etc. Just like what they were explaining before.
No, I don't think so. But go on.
Okay, but all right. Well, we'll get to that right now. But usually with birth control, that allowed women to act more like men, because now they don't have to worry about getting pregnant, right?
Sure.
They're able to go out there and have
makes
promiscuous sex. Have promiscuous sex without getting any pregnancy. And then not only that, feminism lowered the shame. Like you can't slut shame women as well. You know, that's bad.
It's tougher now.
Let's also point out the hormonal imbalances that are caused by birth control. No wonder why they act like men.
Yeah. And so when women are on birth control, they usually have multiple partners before they actually find somebody that, you know, they want to settle down with. So they have a lot of frame of references. So usually you'll see a lot of women with this mentality of willing to move on faster than usual. To where with men, even if men do go over there and fuck around, it takes more skill. So men are usually more, like, I guess, forgiving to stick with the chick than with chicks can easily replace a guy. And I think birth control kind of amplified that, because now they can have sex without worrying about pregnancy, right? With birth control. Wouldn't you say that kind of like fuels into the modern day dating on how difficult it is, I guess, these days with women commonly moving on, especially the divorce rates?
I mean, there's a lot of different points in there. So this idea that it's like it's easier for, I think you were saying like it's easier for women to
get laid.
Well, to become like decent at sexual, like whatever, sexual mastery, capacity to engage in sex in like a way that makes you seem like not a noob, right?
No, like no, because women can get access to sex.
So polite about it. It's so endearing.
Yeah, I can just explain it.
Not a noob.
I can easily explain this. Women can access sex faster than men can.
Sure.
Would you agree with that statement?
Yeah.
Okay,
unless
cool.
they're a rock star like you, in which case.
Unless they're a rock star like me, then we're about equal. Actually, even then they beat me, bro. An average woman can still beat out a rock star.
Have you guys ever seen the video that? So you guys may not know this, but Whatever used to be a prank channel.
Yes.
And they used to do some like psychological social experiments. And one of the things that Brian actually did was he went out and he asked 100 girls on the street to go have sex.
I remember that. Yeah.
0%
rate. Yeah.
One that didn't outright laugh at him, but the rest were like, and this was back when he was surfing every day and he was ripped and he had like a washboard. He was like, he's pretty rad.
Yeah.
His co-host was just pretty good looking, not like super good looking girl, but pretty decent looking. Savannah, I don't know what the fuck her name was. 97 out of 100 said, fuck yeah, I'll stop what I'm doing. I'll go have some sex with you.
And by the way,
three of them said, Give me a minute. I gotta make a phone call.
And I'll
love
tell you
that.
this, Socrates. They've replicated that social experiment multiple times, and it always results in the same outcome.
No,
Women
I'm
don't-
not.
Here's
I'm not
another-
All
surprised.
they need to do
100%
is
of men will marry. I mean, we'll bang a hot chick. 100%.
Yeah.
Here's another big problem with it too, by the way, is even once you do settle down and get married and you're trying to plan a family and come off of birth control, it can screw up women's system very badly, and that's not helping the birth rate up.
Yeah, I want to get
Sure.
Katibi on here for that, but she's busy tonight.
So
You're right. You're absolutely right, Lindsay. She did have. I don't know about her body because I never saw it naked, but she definitely had long hair.
Yeah.
So,
But,
I mean, so if the primary complaint is it's just like it's hard for dudes to
Well, I don't
get
think it's
laid.
complaint. It's an observation.
Yeah, like
Okay.
the real question
Yeah.
is, wouldn't you say birth control amplified the divorce rates, or at least the dating market?
Right, because
now,
what
because of that birth
tempered
control.
what tempered it, right, is men could go have sex with a lot of women that would have, or what with women that would have them,
Sure.
and women had a natural natural braking system there, in the fact that every single time they had sex could result in pregnancy. Now
Yeah.
you remove the guardrails, right, and now you're just running wide open, right?
I mean, look. So for a long time, women couldn't basically work jobs, go to school, get a credit card, own property, and when
But I don't
women were
think-
able to do that, it made it a lot
let's-
harder for men to compete.
Let me
in the sexual
dispel some of
marketplace.
that, right? Like, I mean, women could own property long before the 60s, and they had credit cards long before the 60s, and they had all of the things that you're saying is that long before the 60s they had those things. The divorce rate didn't climb. That none of the factors you're giving, which is a common leftist talking point, right? And did you know that one of the first women elected to office was in like 1890 in Kansas as mayor of the.
Sure, but I mean, elected
By the way, that's
elected by men,
suffrage.
right?
That's pre the right to vote, which was really there was only the right to vote for women. Was only really federal for the presidential election, and some states allowed women to vote, and some states didn't.
Sure, universal suffrage. Yeah,
You're right. Yeah. So we're only talking about universal suffrage. And leftist liberals always conflate that. They never break it down to like, hey, universal suffrage was right, so that you could participate in federal elections and have a say in what happened to the nation. Which, by the way, was voted for by men, not women. Women actually stood in opposition of it, right? Like,
well, I mean, some for, some obviously, obviously there were a good number of women who were for suffrage.
less than you would think. It was a very small number. It was very small.
Sure. I mean, in general, abolition of slavery is a pretty small number of people. I mean, there's all of these movements.
No, but I mean, but it
small.
was men who wanted women to have the same. Well, I mean, it was men who wanted to be able to tax women, basically.
They were also just kind of giving into their wives. It's something like, if I remember correctly from Rachel's book, it's like 5% of women voted for it, and that was it.
Yeah,
Or wanted it. The rest of them were like,
5% of the vote for it was women, not 5%.
yeah, that's what I'm
Sure.
saying.
I mean, some women, I guess, couldn't vote at that point, presumably. Right?
Not to vote, but they were in favor of getting the vote.
Your guy is
sure.
almost
Yeah.
correct here. The credit card thing I looked into, because there was a lot of claims made that women couldn't have bank accounts. That's patently false.
Yeah.
Women could have bank accounts until they got married, and then because both once you were married, it's you, in at least in the olden days, you were women could not be held responsible for any debts.
Okay. Women cannot incur debts on their own once they're married, is what you just said.
Right. Yeah. Once
Okay.
pre-marriage
Could men
they
do
could
that?
incur debts. Right. Pre-marriage they could. Once they got married, it was all on the man. And so the
Okay.
only way a woman could have her own banking account or separate from the family's was with permission of her husband. And that was
Okay.
and I don't understand why that is such a big deal. Especially
so-
since he was the one that was
Yeah.
responsible. If she went down to the general store and said, I want or the feed store or whatever back in the days, and
Sure.
said, hey, we need $100 worth of corn. Well, that didn't go on her ticket. That went on her husband's ticket. And if she couldn't pay for it, or she just did, whatever, or she went down to the sewing store or whatever and bought a bunch of stuff to make dresses with, if she decided, it wasn't up to her to pay for it. It was the man, her husband, who was on the hook for it. Even if they got divorced, even if she left him and moved to another town and changed her name and all that shit, he was still on the hook for that debt. And so I think that women actually had it better under that system.
I actually looked.
Do you think we should go back to that?
And sorry,
I mean, you don't really want to know what I actually think. So.
I actually looked into it too and was able. While yes, like during I think it was the 18th or 19th century, like in parts of Europe, there were like issues with women inheriting property and whatnot. You can actually see like back thousands of years where women owned businesses and inherited property and yes, had business accounts and the whole nine. So a lot of that stuff that a lot of the rhetoric is actually wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking in like the United States.
Sure.
That's fair. Yeah.
Yeah, so certainly
let's stick to the United States. So Arthur Daya is partially correct here. She couldn't get a business loan without her husband agreeing to it, but she could get it.
Yeah.
Sure. So
that's the same now. Right now today, my wife bought an apartment. Well, we bought an apartment in New York. I'm not on that loan. Okay, she is. I had to sign off on that, on not being a part of that loan and not being responsible for that debt because I'm not on that loan at all. So even to this day, that happens.
Wait, can
you're married.
Okay, sure. Okay, that's fine. But just taking that one example. So in the past, presumably a man who was married, he didn't need to get his wife's permission to get a loan in that like time period that you're talking about.
Right. He didn't need permission from the wife to go out and but he was also he was solely responsible for that debt.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm not going to make any judgments about that. I'm just talking about that, like
right. Yeah, he didn't need his wife's the wife. Women were in theory protected from debt.
Mm-hmm. So in that circumstance, there's a certain type of agency, capacity to take some action that men had that women didn't have.
I'm sorry?
There's some kind of action that men could take that women couldn't take, right? Some kind of agency that men had that women didn't have, right? In that scenario. Not saying overall, but just that one particular thing, right?
But it's not real. I mean, is it really agency if they're the ones that bear the responsibility and the women never do?
That's what agency is, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, kind of, but okay.
Yeah, and again,
now a single woman, a spinster, if you will, could take on all the debt that she could prove that she could pay for.
Okay.
Because she didn't have a husband to pay for.
Sure. So in that circumstance, men had a certain kind of agency that women didn't have, and were you making the claim that ending, that system changing or altering, didn't tip the scales away from kind of like men's, I don't know, whatever men's power in relationships, whatever.
Like you're talking about ego, maybe, Socrates? Like it damaged men's ego? Is that the direction you?
I think Arthur Daya is twice the feminist Socrates.
No, I mean, not ego. I mean, we're talking about kind of material things of, I mean, it's all these metrics that we're talking about of being able to keep a marriage, or being able to get a wife, or whatever. Any of these things that were kind of in play as situations. So either that changing, either that legal situation changing, either it affected those dynamics or it didn't. And it sounded like Grid was saying that changing didn't affect those dynamics. And I just want to confirm that, and then I have a next thing right after that I want to get to.
Okay, so I apologize. I thought you were talking not about me, so I didn't. I was distracted momentarily.
Yeah. I mean, I've been paying full attention to the conversation, obviously.
Right.
Well,
you were having an exchange with Jake, and I was just kind of only partially listening, and so I was like, then I heard my name, and I'm like, wait, what?
So Grid
Yep,
was talking about how that change in only men can get the loan when they're married versus women would have to get the confirmation of their husband. That situation changed, and now either I guess maybe the law is complicated, maybe everybody has to sign off or whatever, but it's whatever it is, it's equal, right?
Mhm.
Or it's symmetrical. You were saying that changing circumstance didn't affect the kind of like dynamics in a negative way toward men. Was that your statement? I just want to confirm that I wasn't misrepresenting what you said.
I think there's some nuance there, but we can go with that for the most part.
So if that
Also,
changed,
I disagree with Arthur Daya here. Before we go,
okay,
because I've had this up for a while. I want to hear it. So women were not treated like kids that had to be protected and always needed permission. Women were treated like that they
Queens.
could not incur debt because, in theory, the man was the provider, and therefore he was on the hot seat to provide for his family, right? So, at least in theory. And if that wasn't the case, then that was a then you were on. I mean, I guess you could do whatever you want to do. And no, it wasn't actually. By the way, the law did not make it illegal for banks to refuse the loans of single women. The banks had the rights to refuse loans to any damn body.
Yeah. Before we move on from this, I'd love to hear Hin's opinion because
I was about to say.
Can I
he was saying
just
that women are.
hold on. Let's
can I just pose?
Yeah.
Yes. So I just wanted to complete that.
Yeah. I'm sorry.
that
I
piece,
did
which is
distract you.
If
Sorry.
if it's the case that this changing legal circumstance that I would expect would change those dynamics, but if you think that doesn't change the dynamics, why are you so certain that other things that are changing now are the cause of changing dynamics? Right? Does that make sense?
Because we're not talking. So at least all right. What's changing the dynamic now is not that women have their own money. That's irrelevant. They've had their own money for 4 decades now. Right? It's a stupid thing to say that women have their own money. That's dumb. They've had it a long time. It's also very sophomoric and almost ignorant to say that women didn't have the ability to leave their husbands or to get divorced or anything like that previously, right? Women certainly worked. My mom, prime example, back in the 70s, my mom had me when she was 18. She divorced the guy a year later. She was a single mom for about 2 years until she married my stepdad. And then she, went on about her life. And to say that 40 years ago women couldn't do that and now today they can is ignorant and it's stupid and it's wrong to say. It's absolutely cope. There's nothing else. It's just cope. What we do see today is that women are acting badly, right? Like my mom didn't leave my dad because he was a good man and she wanted to and she took his money and everything. She never even took child support from him that I'm aware of. She left him because he was an asshole. Mm-hmm. He was not prepared to be a father, and she understood that from the word go. She fucked up. She'll tell you that she made a mistake, and she wanted to correct that mistake as early as possible and do the least amount of damage in her life. But she gave it a year and a half or 2 years before she just pulled the ripcord and said, "Okay, I'm fucking out of this." Right? Mm-hmm. As a matter of fact, my brother and I were born a year apart, so I think they were actually probably married about 2.5 years before she finally said enough is enough. Mm-hmm. And just to tag on to that, my mom then became an advocate for abused women, and we routinely, as I was growing up, had women who were abused women come stay with us while they were fleeing their husbands. So to say that I wouldn't have a grasp on that or people on my side of the aisle don't understand it is really bad. Well, I mean, it's bad. You didn't do that. You did not do that. I'm not saying that you did, but it's very often the case that people will say, well, you just don't understand. I'm like, no, motherfucker, I absolutely understand it. The difference is that I understand the reasons why those women left. Those women did not leave to take that man's money. They left because those men were drunk assholes. And
100%.
they didn't need to be married to that guy anymore. But we're not seeing that anymore. We're seeing good men that are providing for their families, that are working 40, 50, 60 hours a week. And the women literally say, I'm just bored. I want something new. And our society today does not shame that. We should literally say, if you want something new, that's the wrong thing. I'm sorry, I talked too long, and I know Socrates will want to respond, but I really want to get Hen in here.
Yeah, let's go.
We're going to have to hold on to it. And come on and
I was just tagging off of what I'm just tagging off of what you said.
No. Let Hen go. Stop, Beth. Let Hen go.
Stop, woman.
That's right. Stop, woman.
Okay, so I think that this kind of plays on to like what's happening like today, so women do have bank accounts now. The thing is, I feel this is probably not an issue, but I think because women are in the workforce, things are getting worse. So like you said, people are, I'm not feeling it. Let me get a divorce. And it's also the same way in the workforce, but people abuse it. So you have women in the workforce and people get money from that. They're not in the household. So you have actual daycares. Our schools are not teaching people. They're just daycares. And then also we have these places where they're called workplaces for women. So they could take all these money and tech and all that stuff. And I feel like this goes along with the conversation just because I feel like we're using women for, I don't want to say their purpose or not. I feel like we're supposed to be nurturing, taking care of the home. And I feel like nowadays, I feel like, I don't know. I feel like this is over conversation now. And I still like, it feel like that. So I feel like women, but also I feel like women have been told, oh, if you don't like it, you should just leave. If you're just not feeling him, you should just leave. And it's just like that everywhere else. And it's like that in jobs. People are in the military. You signed a contract, but there's people, oh, I just don't feel like it today. That's just not how it works. These are contracts that you signed. And it's the same way when you get married. This is a for life thing. It's not like you could just be like, oh yeah, I just don't like him. I didn't like the way he stared at him. So I get the half of his things and I get to go. It's just not like that. And it's like that in the workplace. A lot of young people, they get in these jobs. Oh, I just, I don't like this. So I get to leave. And I just feel like it's just people been influenced. If you don't like it, you just get to go. It's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just it's been encouraged to be half-assed. You don't get to keep anything. There's no permanence.
I'm gonna read this super chat. $5 from K2 Keep On Trucking. New study came out saying Kentucky had a drop in divorces because in 2018 they reduced the alimony and had to prove abuse in the marriage. I'm assuming that they don't have no fault.
No fault. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So Tennessee just passed I believe it's passed. I'll have to check that it's 100% passed, but it's up for if it wasn't, it's almost there. That we have. Now I lost my train of thought. Damn it.
Covenant marriages.
What's that? Covenant marriages. Yes, thank you. Covenant marriage in Tennessee, where you can't get divorced unless you meet a criteria, and one of them is you have to go to counseling. You have to prove that there's that you've actually tried and you made a valiant effort and all of that, and you just can't walk in and say, yeah, I'm just not feeling it anymore, and I got to kick that dude to the curb. I can't do that anymore in Tennessee. With a covenant marriage, you still can with a standard marriage, but standard marriages have some other hoops to run through as well. And there's some advantages to being in a covenant marriage in Tennessee. Hopefully, we provide the roadmap for the rest of the country as we normally do. And So,
But do you feel like that's an abuse of feminism? Because nowadays it's like, oh, if I don't feel like it, then you're wrong. You know, you're hurting my feelings, so you're abusing me. But before, feminism used to be, oh, I can't vote, or I'm a black woman, I'm getting hurt, I can't go to school, I need to do these things. It used to actually mean something to be a feminist. It used to mean I just want to have human rights. But now it's, well, I feel hurt, so I should get to say you raped me because you hurt my feelings. So
I mean-
you know, I feel like it's going the way opposite way.
you young people would know more than me. I'm old, you know. I'm just around you folks.
Is
all the time.
that feminism or is that like TikTok? Because feminism. So just to like back.
It
up
was
a little
around
bit.
before TikTok, bro.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been around for at least 35 years.
Vine,
Look,
whatever.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
My mom did. My mom
Because-
did the exact same thing to my dad. I mean, that he left with
Oh,
his
wow.
clothes, and that was it. Okay, and that was back, 35 years ago, and it was just because she was unhappy for whatever stupid, fucked up reason, and didn't have to prove shit in court. It was, and it has only gotten worse. To what you're saying, and I think it is taking advantage of something that women originally thought was a good idea to try to help themselves. Although
No,
I agree with their original premise to begin with, but
Yeah.
that's just an opinion.
I'm going to give Socrates props for not once so far using the words power dynamic.
That's a fun one. But I would also say I think feminism has also kind of affected the parenting, especially when it comes to young kids.
Yeah.
And I just want to shoot out this story that back when I was like, I don't even know, 22, 23, I had a girlfriend, and her sister, my girlfriend at the time's sister, she was a single mom, and her daughter, who was 14 at the time, was going to go to this trap music DJ concert over there at the Island, which the Island over here in South Texas, South Padre Island, it's a party area, right? So she was going to let her 14-year-old daughter go to this DJ trap music concert, and I remember she was dressed kind of provocative, right? And I spoke to my girlfriend at the time. I'm like, hey, do you think it's a good idea for her to go over there and have a concert and do all these things? And she's dressed kind of a certain way. You're not afraid that she might have sex, behind her mom's back or anything like that? And she tells me, no, don't worry about it. She's on birth control. I said, she's on birth control. She's like, yeah. I was like, but she's 14. Don't you think that's kind of crazy? Like she's 14. She's like, no, Jake, you have to realize that if there's a will, there's a way. You can't stop these people from having sex. So the best thing to do is put them on birth control so they don't have a kid. And by the way, her sister got pregnant when she was 14. So this is kind of like the mentality of put your fucking kids on birth control because you just can't stop them, Grid. Yeah. And this effects also goes back to the birth control argument that I was talking about earlier. It affects parenting, especially with single moms. There's not a dad there to slap her in the fucking face and say, what the hell's going on here? This is crazy. They're lost.
Yeah, I mean, just to touch on that for a moment. First of all, that's crazy.
That is
right.
But
high school's having
wait.
high school's having daycare is the most fucked up thing ever.
Yeah,
I mean,
and by the way, that was before TikTok, Socrates. All right, this is back in 2013 or something like that, or 2014.
Sure, in the like early mid 2000s, my high school had a daycare. Like that's it's an old thing. But just to quickly say, so we don't get too kind of like rosy about the past. This is like.
Oh no!
I think this is pretty like typical. This happens a lot. Somebody who's 14 gets knocked up, keeps a baby, maybe is single, raises them. Like you can think about that what you want, but it's like let's say that those exact same stories. Oh, you're 14, you're gonna go have sex behind the bleachers or whatever, behind some tent. You'd probably rather they're on birth control, right?
No.
I'd rather
them get pregnant.
No, I'd rather them have
be
a
pregnant?
father in the household to discipline them and not let
What
them
if-
go
what
out
if
to
the father's
concerts
not in the household?
where they're dressed provocatively. Like all of this could be prevented with just better parenting, Socrates.
Okay,
wanna
but that's
back up
not the
Jake.
same situation. That's if you have two parents there. That's a
Well, even
totally
with a
different.
single mom,
No.
you could
Two
do
parents,
that.
even with two parents, the victim mentality we've seen run so deep within feminism has permeated into parenting, and we see now with DCYF and CPS where parents, even with two parents in the household, are not allowed to stop their children from doing shit they should not be doing.
Like,
Because,
what's
oh my God, now you're abusing them. You took away their technology. You did whatever. I mean, God, we're seeing
Has that
kids.
happened? Somebody
we're
has gotten their
seeing
kids
kids-
taken away because they took away their iPad? Like,
Oh,
There's been kids
just don't believe
calling,
that happened.
You can call CPS for
CPS, yeah.
any reason.
Well, of course.
Any reason.
Sure.
Which immediately starts an investigation.
'Cause the
Meanwhile, here
threshold-
we have kids in the school district who are beating up teachers. We're talking first and
Yep.
second graders kicking the shit out of teachers. Even the teachers can't do anything about it.
Sure.
And the
I
thing
mean,
is,
parents have a
the-
lot of
the-
power, unfortunately.
But the threshold for the threshold
Don't
is
have much power.
the threshold has gotten a lot more lenient when it comes to kids. Like, remember back in the day, I got spanked as a kid, right? I never thought it was like abusive. It was my father disciplining me because I did something wrong, right? I understood that. But nowadays, if you spank your kid or hit them with the belt, they could call CPS on you. Not only that, Adrian Peterson, a running back for the NFL, there was a story that came out that he hit his kid with a branch because back in the day, his dad would get a branch outside the and hit him with it. So he did that to his kid. When that shit got leaked out to the
This kid
public,
with
he
a
got
branch?
with a
Fucking
branch.
Not a branch, a switch.
Some type
It's a
of
very
thing.
thin,
I mean, that-
limber.
Yeah.
Yeah, that hurts.
Thin thing.
Yeah, that stings, right?
Yeah, and
Oh, it
Adrian
stings,
Peterson
all
got
right.
Adrian Peterson got shamed, and they were calling him a child abuser and all this
He
other
should.
shit, dude. But
He's
I
not
mean,
a
that's
child
but
abuser.
he's not.
That's discipline.
That's
And that's
discipline.
how you instill order into your children.
It's worse than that. You can get founded for child abuse for raising your voice at your kids now.
I don't think
God
that's
forbid.
true.
It is true. I've seen it happen to parents. I've seen it happen. Like literally, I'm not kidding you. I've seen it happen.
Sure. I don't want to invalidate the statements that you're making or your experience of the world, but I would need to see right. Okay, so here's an example. Here's an example. Okay, who's heard of Matt Walsh here? Anybody?
Never
Matt
heard of
Walsh?
that guy. Who's that?
Yeah, right. Have you ever heard of the What Is a Woman documentary?
Yeah.
Right. So in that, he talks about this father in Canada. So okay, different situation, but they're our neighbor to the north. Share a lot of whatever. Okay, child taken away because he refused to use the kid's pronouns. Right. That's crazy, right? That's terrible, right? Or
I'm gonna give you one that's. I'm gonna give you one that's.
Wait, no. I need to finish this example. Go ahead. This is actually important. Okay. Or no, he got censored by the judge because he didn't use the pronouns or whatever. Right. Okay. I looked into this because it didn't really pass the smell test. Like that sounded odd.
It sounds weird. Yeah.
It sounds weird. And I looked it up, and the judge censored him because he started doxing his children against a court or his child against a court order, that's super illegal, right? You can't doxing anybody in general, not great. Doxing your child, not great. Doxing your child against a court order. Yeah, of course you're going to get censored by the court. So I hear a lot of these stories and I hear, oh, they did this one thing. And then, the justice system came after them. I have kind of a skepticism about whether that's always the full story. That's my perspective.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, let me run this by you, right? So, actually, go ahead, Jake. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I was just going to say really quick. I'm not familiar with that case. However, there are multiple cases of child abuse, or even cases of fathers not knowing that their kid, like in schools, that the parents weren't notified that the child was transitioning, right? Especially during Biden's Gender Affirmative Care Act, right, where you didn't even have to tell the parents if they were going to transition. Like there was a lot of problems under that, and that was under.
You want to talk about it?
I was just saying, wouldn't you say that's an issue? Right?
No.
You could see it's not an issue to tell the parents.
I will absolutely push back on that.
Okay, go for it.
Yeah. So
I'd love to hear this.
Yeah. So first of all, we have to understand that when you hear stories like this is an extreme case. When this is making the news, when this is making its rounds, you have one story. You don't have stats on this occurring, right? You have one anecdote. Okay.
And policies.
Well,
And
hold on. That
I have
talking about one
Smith.
circumstance where this occurs.
What was her name?
Right?
Chloe
Question for
Smith. Was it Chloe Smith? Chloe Clark? Chloe something or the other. That is was a dude that was convinced by his school doctors, psychologist or whatever. They got him without his parents' knowledge on puberty blockers then they convinced his parents that the puberty blockers were the way to go. It went all the way up to where I believe when he was 16, he had some kind of surgery, irreversible. Yeah, it's just crazy.
I'm not familiar with that particular case, but
I'll look it up. Hang on.
Just to get like a basic understanding of why this might happen and why this might be a really reasonable situation to occur. So first of all, breaking down that situation, a child transitioning and the parents are not told. So a child transitioning means that they're transitioning socially, because children don't in America don't transition medically, right? So if they're a child, they're transitioning socially. It means that they're using different pronouns in school.
Sure.
Right. Okay. Just to be on the same page. If that child is in a home where they tell their teacher, hey, if my parents find out about this, I'm on the street. Please don't tell my parents. You don't think that happens?
I got this when he's done. I got 2 questions.
All right, go for it, Beth.
Right. Okay. Look, I'm not saying this is always the case, right? Just to start from like a place of like shared understanding, a little bit of like, okay, let's think about like the different ways that this could occur and why maybe this is a useful thing to have in the toolbox for a child that says, hey, I'm really scared. I'm going to get kicked out of the house. If my parents find out,
mind you,
please don't tell them.
Socrates, mind you, remember, these are children that still believe in Santa Claus, all right?
I mean,
so they could believe anything that the teachers tell them that you are a girl when really you're a boy, right? Go ahead, Beth.
Well, you're just saying that, right?
I'm not just saying that.
All right, so it's Chloe Cole. Hold on. Let me tell you. Let me give you this. So Chloe Cole, she between the ages of 13 and 16, underwent medical transitioning, which included puberty blockers, testosterone, and a double mastectomy at the age of 15.
Mm-hmm. She's the very kind of outspoken, well-known detransitioner.
Yes. Yes, who says there's a lot like her and can prove it, or has been able to so far prove it. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think it's as rare as people. That's everyone who said, well, it's rare. Well, you know what? Trans in of itself is rare, right? It's like it's a tiny. It's like 1%,
right? So which to me is crazy that we have like hundreds of laws.
Yes, I agree. I agree
all over the country about this. I don't think we need that, but
yeah.
So Socrates, let me ask you a question. How do you know when a teenager's lying?
How do you know when a teenager's lying? I mean, it varies a little bit. Some of them are really bad liars. Sometimes
most of the time it's when their mouths are moving.
Okay,
most of the time it's when their mouths are moving. Kids lie a lot, right? So I mean, if they're going to school, if they're going to go to school and sit there and tell stories, I mean, number one, teenagers especially tend to exaggerate, blow things out of proportion, or even say things in order to get attention. So that's one thing that needs to be taken into consideration. Not totally discounting all of them. I'm not discounting all of them. Okay. Mm-hmm. Then on top of that, I can personally tell you, like, my school district got busted this past year where it turns out the biology teacher was teaching gender courses, and my son blew that stuff up.
One second.
The school district didn't.
1 second. Hassan's dog. We're not debating. This is a discussion. We're not debating. Nobody's trying to score points here.
It's still gay, though.
We're not owning people.
He's right about that.
Anything like that. Nobody's. Nobody's.
Sorry, Hassan's dog. I'm sorry that you're going through that right now.
Hassan's dog.
Oh yeah, no shit, man. What about Hassan's chair?
Yeah, there's a lot of farts.
Chair, man.
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah.
Well, at least the dog, not the farts.
Yeah, at least what's her name? Knowles, the director of ICE.
Christy Noem.
Christy Noem. At least it's not her dog, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, that dog would be in the ground.
Let's be 100% about it, right?
Yeah. As somebody that's actually had to put down their dog before, I get very annoyed when people act like it's a.
At the end of the day, it's your dog. Like, I mean,
well, it's annoying when people act like it's a terrible thing to do. I don't believe in animals suffering. And trust me that sometimes, a bullet behind the ear is the best way. And it really annoys the fuck out of me every time somebody brings that shit up. Sorry, I just had to say that.
No, you're good, dude. I'm just making a joke, but
I know it's fine, but I mean, it's just one of those things that people just bring up in casual conversations, like, oh, Christy Noam said she had to put her dog down once, and I'm like, yeah, and I bet it fucking killed her too, right?
Yeah,
like,
I'm sure.
Yeah, I think we all agree, like, if the dog is in extreme pain and is like dying, then that's not bad. If they're totally fine, then it is bad, right? I think.
But I don't even think shock collars are even that bad neither. It's for discipline. It's to let them learn and stuff like that.
I think the way that he was using it looked not.
I mean, shock collars on your wife, though. I mean, you shouldn't do that.
See, that's better, actually. I would say shock collars on the wife, right?
It'd be fun.
Let's keep it to relationships, guys. We're starting to wander the fucking field, and let's kind of keep it. And look. So, I mean,
real.
Go ahead.
Just to wrap it up to you real quick, Socrates, the school the teacher had put out a questionnaire, and on that questionnaire they were specifically asking about what your family's religion is, if they reject or accept transgender identity, and as well as then going on to ask the kids, would you feel safe telling your parents if you felt this way? And do you know that there are resources at school to help you if you do not feel safe? So you see, that's where this is coming up, though, is that, I mean, sure, there may be kids that have this issue that do need the added support, but the problem is that if the parents are kept out of it, number one, how do they even get the opportunity to help them? And number two, how much of this, depending on the age, is being put into the children's heads?
Yeah, I mean, I wish the conversation in general was exactly where you're talking about it, where we're balancing two things that are really important, where we don't want a kid who's going to get like beat up or kicked out of the house to have their parents told, and we do want a parent who would be supportive to be told, and we wouldn't want them left out of that conversation. Like, those are both reasonable things that are.
Yeah, but an outsider, I'm not sure that an outsider should be the one to make that call.
I mean, CPS makes calls in some circumstances, right? Like, sometimes there are outsiders, right?
Yeah.
Socrates, can I ask a question?
Given the opportunity.
I couldn't. I'm sorry. What?
Go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Can I ask a question, Socrates?
Yeah, please.
So do you think it's okay because the reason why kids are coming to this conclusion that, I need to transition is because they've been groomed to think this way or to think this way. No. This is the thing. Because when I was a kid, I didn't even know anything about gender identity. I was a girl that just liked the girl things.
Nice.
Boys were boys. Boys, they had cooties.
Look, that's why she's normal.
Never a day in my life that I thought, I'm a boy.
Well, you're probably cis, right? You're probably not trans then, right? If it never came up for you, if it never occurred to you, it's probably not.
But kids don't know this until they're told this, though.
Wait, but you're saying that
I'm going to move this off. The trans issue doesn't have anything to do with tonight's topic. We can do that another night. I'm going to move us off of that. Sorry. I don't give and honestly, I could give a fuck less. It's less than 1% of the people, and I'm really sick of hearing about it.
Yeah, I would also say
this
feminist women is what pushed that shit.
By Big Soda, by the way. Yeah. It's paid for by this Chinese tea that I'm drinking called Wolovi or some shit like that. I can't read the rest of it because it's in Chinese. My wife got it for me. It's delicious.
Yeah. I mean, just to say, because this also this goes to so many things. This actually does go to like feminism conversation. No, it sounds off topic, but it's like,
they push it.
There will be people who will say, well, I didn't experience this, and therefore other people don't experience this. And different people have very different experiences of the world. People who say like, well, I never thought about as a kid, I never thought about that I might be gay or whatever, right? But there are some people who are gay, right? Like, but you might not be.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question, Socrates, because look, I know that you're an educated man, and I know that you think clearly, which is why we can have you here, and you'll talk and not spurg out. Do you know? Have you ever known a tomboy?
Sure. Yeah.
Thank you. I wanted to bring that up.
Have you
They're actually men, Grid. They're actually boys.
Hold on. Because I remember growing up that there was a couple of girls. You always saw them together. We all thought they were fucking lesbian. They played softball. I mean, literally the
Checklist. Boom, boom, boom.
entire, like the whole list of things that just says lesbian, right?
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them were lesbian. They're both married. I think they're both still married to the dudes that they hung out with in college. One of them, I saw one of them when I was in college, and I was like, "Damn, I didn't know she had tits." Like I just
She didn't have them when they were playing softball.
yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know she had tits.
She grew into it.
Right, and I mean, I'm sure she had them, but she just didn't dress that way, right? She
Sure.
dressed-
Yeah.
And so when if people had encouraged these girls to be lesbian, they might have made some serious mistakes in life that made it worse down the road, which is why I think that's why I'm on the opposite side of you. I don't want any of these conversations to happen. I want them to be kids. I want them to grow up. I want them to, if they need to be, look, I don't have a problem with bullying. I think bullying is a healthy part of growing up that we're constantly missing out on in today's society. I think that's why we're raising the biggest group the biggest group of pussies ever.
We need more cyberbullying, especially.
And now we literally have people who are confused to the point where they don't know if they have they don't know why they have a dick. And that's weird to me.
You just wake up one day and, huh? Where did this come from?
Well, they're just like, what do I do with this? I've never used this before.
I mean, I think there's probably some stats on porn.
Now I knew dudes that I always thought were gay in school. Like I literally I'm like, that dude's something about that guy.
Mm-hmm. So
and you know what? Later he was gay. Like he was a gay dude, right? Like he was gay.
There was something fishy about him.
Yeah,
there was something fishy about you, bro.
So I think what I'm getting out of what you're saying is that looking in from the outside, you may not know much about what someone's experience of the world is, and that's why it's really important to go into those kind of conversations from a place of curiosity and not telling people who they are, but just asking them what is your experience of the world?
You can't trust adults to have that conversation with kids.
You can't. I mean, if you
no,
don't, somebody else will.
Because we all have agendas. You can't trust me to have that conversation with a kid. I have an agenda.
Okay,
I have an agenda.
I didn't make any accusations. You're saying that.
No, I'm telling you right now. You can't look. This is where adults fuck up kids. Every fucking time.
Adults can't even talk to other adults about sex. So how are we supposed to be talking to children about it?
Remember, children believe in Santa Claus, and you're telling them we got to talk about sex with them. I think that's something we should exclude until they're fucking adults, right? This is why we prevent them from even going that route.
Actually, so
I have a funny story for you. So my kid's now 15, and he's like 6 foot, 182 pounds. He's trimmed down. He wasn't 190. He knocked a few off. He's been exercising, working out and stuff. But he was a little guy until like 2 years ago. And he actually was, there was some kid, there's a thing in schools now where it's kind of popular to be gay or whatever. And he actually had dudes that were like, oh, I think you're gay. And he's like, I'm not gay. I don't think I'm gay at all. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I never really had a conversation about it with him. I never talked to him about it. I was never like, hey, you're not gay or anything like that. He just told me that, and I'm like, well, I mean, okay, keep going. And he's like, no, I'm not gay.
I mean, I can tell you, growing up in the '90s, there was a lot of gay people calling things gay, calling each other gay, going around.
This one dude was like, well, no, I'm not going to get into it, but it was weird, right? But I was just like, you know what? Because my first instinct is to say, you ain't going to be gay, boy. But my first instinct is to just have a really tough conversation. And I'm really getting annoyed that we've derailed my feminism discussion into the gay shit. But adults should not be talking to kids about these things. that is a problem, especially since a lot of adults have their own agendas and their own read, and they cannot interpret what kids have to say. That's why, that's one of the reasons why our youth are so fucked up now, is you have a bunch of people who think that for whatever reason, they think that they need to tell kids how to be kids, and they weren't ever kids themselves. Huh? I used to work with kids. Look, I don't normally talk about this, but I have a degree in psychology. My first job out of college was working with kids, juvenile delinquents, in a youth camp, a wilderness school, and we had some really fucked up kids there, right? And but you know what? The one thing I will promise you is adults cannot talk to kids. I've watched them over and over and over again. Adults do not fix kids. Kids fix kids. I watched those teenagers fix each other.
Yeah. So if the message of a parent is men are men, women are women,
Socrates.
Go ahead.
Hold on. I'm sorry. Socrates, if you really want to, if you can find it, read Campbell Lothmiller, The Worth of a Boy, is published in 1952, I think. It's fucking excellent. And it is really awesome. And there's a couple other books I can get into if you really want to get into it.
Thumping Weevil donated $19.99. Super chat. Let kids be kids. Any adult conversation with children should be banned other than the parents.
It's not coming up.
Trans comes down to what hole you're
report
putting
on
it in at the
Camp
end
for
of the
Disturbed
day.
Youngsters?
Leave that talk to the parents.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. They may have republished it in 70, but it was back in the 50s,
Nice.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, I worked with kids. I worked with them every single day. And I'm not talking about good kids.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about fucking juvenile delinquents.
Mm-hmm.
And I just, trust me, the one thing that adults cannot do is what we're trying to have adults do right now.
Mm-hmm.
It just never works. I'm sorry. I don't normally talk about that. I normally keep that part of my life way back, a few decades ago. Yeah. But
yep.
Well, thank you for sharing.
Thank you very much, Thumping Weevil. But yeah, I worked with kids for 2 or 3 years in a wilderness setting. I basically lived with the kids. So, on a camp, like they had to start fires to cook food, stay warm, all of that shit. Like
honestly, that's a pretty good. I feel like that's a pretty good way to build kids up, give them some feeling that they can like fend for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It removes it. We remove them completely from society, and we remove them completely from their fucking parents.
Yeah.
And we removed them from their stupid ass friends. And then we made them 100% responsible for each other.
Mm.
If one guy forgot to bring water, the whole fucking group went thirsty.
Oh yeah, I love that military training. Love that. A lot of that.
That's why I went to a military school, so it was a natural. Like that's my first job. It's my first job out of college.
Like, oh, I know what to do.
Yeah, right.
I was in ROTC in high school. It did me great. It did great things for me.
Yeah, I don't normally talk about that because it's just such such an intense period in my life because you're living with a bunch of juvenile delinquents.
Yeah,
and but I'm going to be honest with you. I think right now what's going on in schools, what's going on in our education system, what's going on with the and look, this is not a left or right thing. Okay, I think the liberals have a little bit more to do with it because it's the school system is more liberal and leftist. But it's both sides are equally responsible, in my opinion. We are fucking kids up by the numbers.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I didn't mean to get into that. I wanted to keep us on the relationship.
No, here, let's get into the. Thank you so much for.
Yeah, I'm going to ask Ken. Ken, I got to ask. So you and Jake, and I think Jake's been dating. a little bit here lately. I think he told me he had gone on one or two.
Yeah.
I never dated before.
Oh, good.
Really?
Good.
How old are
Okay.
you?
Wait, what?
I'm 26.
You're
Oh,
26.
26. I thought you were younger than that.
No.
Oh, you're like 21 or something.
Mm-mm.
Okay, so you're 26 and you've never dated?
Mm-mm. No.
Okay,
Oh, wow.
interesting.
Why? Wait, hold on. I'm curious. Why?
We were all thinking that.
Yeah.
And Socrates obviously is dating.
Yeah.
So like the church I went to, none of the guys are single. So like I just think that God would come with the right guy one day. I just got to keep waiting.
Nice.
And
Nice,
yeah,
nice
that's
answer.
a good way to handle it too, and do it for
Okay.
sur
Just for
dated a little
fee,
since my
I call
divorce.
cap, brother. I call cap. I bet I'm going to call cap.
Oh shit.
I bet this is not true. Am I right,
Yeah,
Hannah?
you know.
I wish it wasn't, but no, I haven't dated anybody. I haven't
Okay.
been with anybody. I've always been by myself. So yeah.
Well, he's saying that you slept around. And
I
said
slept
no.
around?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I said no.
No.
I said that's cap. Yeah. All right. Yeah. See,
Call him names. We'll support you on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Look, we got a unicorn on the fucking panel.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I've dated some since my
Socrates,
divorce.
what-
and it gave it up. It was horrible.
Socrates, what's a dating landscape like for a man of your stature?
I mean, so I'm somebody who's maybe a bit of an outlier in some ways, in that I've never like dated, like gone on, like I've never gone on apps. I've like been on apps, but it's like this really sucks. This is like I've never like gone on a bunch of dates with a bunch of people and be like, oh, here's the person. Like I just meet somebody and either like befriend them or just kind of like start like hanging out and then like start dating them. So I've been pretty like not in that kind of life of like dating, you know, like, oh, gonna go on 5 dates with 5 different people in a week, whatever, that I'm on the apps. I just meet people at like a party or whatever, and then we start hanging out and dating and whatever and fall in love. Like I'm just very romantic.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Hold on.
How
That
many
actually
boyfriends
makes
did you have?
total sense. It actually makes total sense. Because you strike me as like a really laid back kind of whatever guy, like just whatever, fine.
Pretty laid back, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. But
Don't that really solves up our generation though? Like we just don't date. we just don't make the effort.
No,
I most definitely don't make the effort because
how
I'm
old are you,
scared.
Socrates?
I'm in my mid 30s.
Oh, you're
okay.
mid-30s. Okay.
Keep some mystique. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah.
It's the hair. It keeps him looking young.
the dating scene over like 35 is absolutely horrific. It's
Yeah.
it's
Hein,
so bad.
Yes.
Hein, right? That's okay. You were stating that you don't make the effort at all, like which is reasonable as a woman. I think the men usually make efforts towards you. Can I ask, like how many DMs do you get, or how many options do you actually have of men trying to hit on you?
Oh, I have
at least trying to
plethora of
start-
options. I get DMs
Okay.
all the time. A lot of men approach me,
Mhm.
but I am picky. So
Sure.
like I always say no, just because if I see a man sagging, if I just see something wrong, if I just see that he's not Christian, I just say no. I just don't want to talk to you. I don't want to be involved.
If he's not matching his clothes, you're like, no. Like, how picky are you here?
I'm very picky. So like you just
Well, you
you
got
have
a
to come
line,
with me
right?
with some grace, because like we're talking. For me, it's a forever thing. I'm not gonna date you just to date you. I want to meet the man of my life, and I want to be the person that I trust. And I feel like a lot of guys that try to approach me scare the hell out of me. And I hate to say that, but a lot of men scare the fuck out of me.
Hein, you
Just-
know why I think you're very genuine here. is because one, you don't give off like you're a pretty argumentative person. Like even though you kind of agree with everybody here, and to a degree, I think you disagree with Socrates, but you're still not being like fucking obnoxious or overzealous, or you're very kind of agreeable and you're listening in. That's how I know you're being genuine here. Like you don't seem like the average woman, and no offense, black woman too. Like they're pretty obnoxious overall.
Yeah, I have to be careful with that because one day I might get shot in my throat too.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
we're trying to have I like having dialogues with people. Yeah. I like knowing how people thinks, and I feel like in a country with different thoughts and different opinions and different religions, I should be able to at least listen to people so I can understand and see, okay, well, this is how we could work out things.
Yeah, you don't seem very argumentative or anything like that, but that's a good thing. That's a really good trait to have as a woman.
Yeah, I don't like arguments. That's why I'm really bad at debates. That's why I keep losing. Grits keep inviting me, and I'm really bad at argumenting because like I just like to listen. But yeah, thank you for that.
Make sure you keep that unity and faith as like your focal point. That's going to be really, really important for your future. Like with any prospective men. Do you know what I'm saying?
Always.
That's like number one.
Yeah, there you go. That's good. Yeah. But yeah, just out of curiosity, thought I'd ask that. That's good. That's good qualities.
All right. It's interesting. So, I mean, it does happen that you just take your time and meet the right person, and that's it. That's the way it happens. It does happen that way.
Yeah, but I mean, I think in today's dating market, I think it's a lot more difficult here, and especially with Hein here, who seems like a really good person, good girl here. But even her, she should have those high standards. Like I was saying, like that's a woman that should have those high standards. But you do have a lot of women that are pretty loose out there, etc. Or they're, like I said before in the beginning of the podcast, 49ers.
Do you have friends like that, Hen?
Friends like what? They just date anybody?
Yeah, just hoes. Just hoe around.
Yeah, but I kind of cut them off.
There you go.
I had to cut them off just because they just let anybody into their lives, and they got knocked up, and now they have baby daddies, and I just feel like that shouldn't exist. Like I don't comprehend it, so I let them go.
That's based. I gotta be honest. That's based as fuck. Yeah. Baby daddy should not be a thing. I agree, 100%.
But that's just because I wasn't raised in that type of household. So I had my dad in my life. My mom was a housewife, and then my grandma was a housewife. So there wasn't, I don't understand baby daddies. I don't understand it.
What area of the country were you raised?
Chicago.
No shit. I'm going to have to recalibrate my thinking about Chicago.
No, Chicago's still a shithole. Hold on.
No, it's still bad. It's still bad.
It comes, and your parents, were they also religious? I assume you were raised within the faith, right?
Yeah, so they're Baptist. I converted to Orthodox, and then now I'm Catholic.
Oh, wow. What made you do that? That's crazy.
That's a path. That's a path right there.
So,
well, you would definitely find a dude in Orthodoxy. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Ain't nothing but horn dogs in Orthodox.
Yeah, and they're all like virgins and shit.
You're going to find a dude. Guaranteed.
Only why I did Catholicism is just because there's no good Orthodox church in the Chicago area where I live. So I just go to what's near, and I just like being a Catholic. I just like this. I feel like it's better because when I was in a Baptist church, I feel like it was I didn't like the spirit when I went in there. It felt negative. I don't know how to explain it.
In Chicago, I could see that. I'm Southern Baptist, but I
feel like it was just for money. I felt like, and then the pastor was having sexual deviancy, so like I didn't like that at all.
So it was not Southern Baptist.
No, it was like Northern Baptist. It was a Chicago church, so yeah.
Some kind of like weird wasn't part of our convention.
Probably not.
Because you get run out of town if you do that. You'll be on the next train to somewhere.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go. All right. So that's interesting. That's interesting.
Sorry, I just broke everybody's minds with that. I'm so sorry that I'm from Chicago.
Not at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was in Chicago earlier this year, and it was awesome. I have a friend who lives there.
I was.
Oh,
too.
it's nice when it's nice, and it's horrible when it's horrible.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I had some guy like come up to me on the street and just say some weird shit. I mean, that's
Did he say this is
gonna
MAGA
happen.
country? Is that what he said?
that's not what he said.
Okay, according to Jesse Smollett, like there's a lot of these Nigerian MAGA supporters that just say this is MAGA country.
But that's the reason why I didn't go to school downtown. It's very dangerous. People are very dangerous up down there.
Mm-hmm.
Socrates, are you? You're in New York City itself, or are you in New Jersey?
No, I'm not in. I don't give out my exact location. I'm on the East Coast.
No, that's fine. That's fine. For some reason, I thought I had you pegged as being in New York City, but that's fine. Yeah,
I spent a lot of time in New York City. I love it.
Yeah,
it's a great place.
Yeah. I hate New York City, man.
You hate New York City? Oh man, what do you hate? Fun? What's going on?
Hate New York City. Man.
Come with me. I'll show you the cool stuff.
I'll show you all the gay bars.
Cool stuff. It's not that cool.
I'll show you the gay bars.
Philadelphia is pretty awesome. I enjoyed Philly.
Yeah, unless they're burning down the city because the Eagles.
I was about to say that same thing.
Other than that, it's pretty nice.
Look, I went for the museums and stuff. Okay, I'm a nerd.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, if you say so, I don't know.
So that was yeah. That's pretty funny. I can't imagine what it would be like to actually date in New York City. Like that would be insane.
There's a TikTok about that.
Right? I watched Seinfeld the whole and
I love that show.
Yeah, right. And I was like, is that really what dating in New York City is like? Because I mean, those chicks are pretty hot.
Yeah, and George got laid by a couple of pretty good looking chicks, man.
Almost every episode.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
He was George was my spirit animal when I was like a kid here. I was like, George Costanza is the coolest guy on Seinfeld.
Have you watched much Curb? Because Larry David.
Yeah, I love Curb. Yeah, I've seen all of the episodes. Yeah.
Some of my friends don't like it. They're like, oh, it's too mean, and I'm like, I love this.
No, dude, it's amazing.
Because seeing this drama and not being.
Also, your friends are probably liberal, right? So they probably get offended by some of the crude comedy.
No, I mean it's a super liberal show, but it's just a personality difference.
Yeah. Well, Larry David is also a liberal, but I'm just saying it's pretty politically incorrect TV show.
I like it. I mean, I feel like they're objectively good jokes. Like exactly, if you can love it as like someone on the other side of the aisle. Yeah.
And I mean, like I don't know if rich people date that way, where they get divorced all the time. Well, I guess they do, right? And Curb Your Enthusiasm kind of has that same theme because they're all a bunch of like writers for TV shows, so they're always getting divorced and remarried and whatnot. So I guess it's kind of relatable, to rich people.
I have an apartment in Jersey City, and I think we're going to sell it next year because it just doesn't make sense to keep it right now. But it's like it would be a really great place if it didn't constantly stink of weed and like and I didn't have to watch people urinating through fences and shit.
Oh, if you could just get up close, you didn't have to have the fence in the way.
No, like if it were just didn't happen at all. Like,
you own a house or you own a condo?
We own an apartment.
Do you rent it out?
Yeah, it's rented out right now.
You're supposed to so other tenants are smoking weed.
Oh, dude, it got so bad in the building that they put signs on every floor that there's no smoking at all, but definitely not of weed. And it was everyone can smell it, bro. So yeah, it's.
I was about to say you could fight against that because if you put that in your.
Well, the HOA it's actually a co-op, so it's not really an HOA, but I call it an HOA because they act like one. The co-op is just like fucking they're on rails about it. It's crazy. But yeah, it's I have we bought it because my wife's office was in Manhattan. And so it was like, we rented an apartment in Manhattan, and New York City has a city income tax. I don't know if you know that. They have a city income tax.
Sure.
For
What's this
living in.
Wait, so
Yeah, it's totally
property
different,
tax,
right?
and then on top of that, a city tax.
Well, no, so we were renting, so there was I think there is a tax for renting, but there was so we paid federal income tax, New York State income tax, and then New York City income tax. And the New York City income tax was like 30 grand. And I'm like, why are we doing that? That's dumb.
For the property?
No, for my wife worked there. So they tax.
That's still insane though. That's so much.
Well, I mean, my federal income tax that year was like 240 grand. So just, that's a lot. That's why I get so heated about taxes, by the way.
He does.
Socrates.
He can rant on there for 3 hours about this shit.
Taxes, man.
I'm with you.
I'm sorry?
I'm with you because I live in Cook County, so it's 10%. So every time I buy something, it's 10%. But now that I'm buying my own property, I don't have to do property taxes no more. So that's a good thing. But still, taxes are a bitch.
No, it was all taxes is terrible. Just terrible.
All taxes.
All taxes. Terrible.
Yeah.
Should we derail or what are
New
we
York
doing?
State.
No, we're not going to derail it. We're not going to derail it. So I mean, it seems like we're not really. I mean, I don't think we're at an impasse or anything.
Because I think Socrates actually agrees to a degree with a lot of the points that we're making here. Just with like maybe little things, he's just like, well, maybe not. Like I don't know if you have.
I mean, I think there's pretty huge things, right? I mean,
yeah.
So
tell us what you disagree with.
Okay, so the entire concept that, let's start here. This kind of judgment that, like, the only way that we should be measuring whether dating is successful or whatever is if it's like easy for men to get laid, or easy for men to find. Okay, here's a stat. So it's easier for women to find hookups, harder for men to find hookups, right? Sure. What I've seen is that when it comes to
that's kind of bad data. I mean, I hear people say that, but actually, I had a diatribe about that the other night. So actually,
men to find hookups,
because obviously, if women are getting laid, men are getting laid, right?
Well, so I think he said easier access. Like what we were saying before, right?
Like more
women have easier access to sex than men. I think that's what he was talking about.
I think it's reversed, right? So I think that I want to just be. I think that intellectual honesty has to say we have to say that at one point in time, men had far easier access to sex than women did because women, each and every time they had sex, could get pregnant, and a lot of them were deathly afraid of that, and so they didn't, right? So it was a natural stop, right? Now you have probably the same ratio of men getting laid, right? And men, especially the MGTOW guys will tell you that, well, so few men are only the top 5% of men are actually getting laid or some shit like that.
Which is kind of a self-indictment that they think.
It's top 20.
Top
20%. Yeah.
You've got to be some god.
If you're going to mind fuck yourself that bad, you deserve not to get laid. And but those men are still nailing the same number of women, right? Like it's not like that it's really that all of these women that are suddenly available are fucking themselves. They're dudes involved, right? So the men the men obviously have access to sex. It's just not most men, right? Where most women, so that's where you have to come down. Most men do not have easy access to sex, but some do. Most women, in fact, I would say all women have easy access to sex just based on whether or not they want to do it or not.
And these women have to weigh about 400 pounds in order for them to not have easy access to sex. Like,
even those,
even those, they have like a 5 body count. Right?
So would it be easier to say that 10% of the men have ease to sex and then 90% of women have ease to sex? So 10% of the men are taking 90% of the women.
Something like that.
I would say 20% are taking 80% of the women.
That's,
okay.
I think
I can work with that.
There's some
That's a common
statistics around
perspective.
that, yeah.
But the
I don't know
the
that
stat
believe
that
it.
I've seen that's really interesting is that when it comes to actually like long-term dating, like settling down with somebody, being in like a very kind of consistent relationship, it's actually like the reverse. So women have an easy time finding somebody to hook up with, but having a hard time finding somebody to settle down with. And it's actually the opposite. So if men are complaining, that means that
men have both though.
They
have a hard time getting laid and settling down with a woman.
What I've seen is that it's the opposite, which means that men who are complaining are by definition the ones who are looking to hook up, which is like, I'm not here to invalidate that as a situation. And I think it's reasonable. So I have maybe you'll think this is an unusual perspective for like a lefty person, but I don't think that all like pickup related whatever is necessarily inherently wrong. I think most of the time your Andrew Tate's, whatever, people are telling you just horrible stuff. But if somebody is there to teach you some skills that you didn't have, that maybe in the past some older friend or dad or whatever would have taught you, that I don't know if that used to happen and it's not, but it seems like it's not happening.
Right,
people
so
need it.
That's a solid point, and I'm gonna give you the answer to that, and then I'm gonna answer Fuck It Button's question.
Fuck it, Button.
So it used to be that you didn't need skills because you dated a girl who was going to be a virgin when you married her, and you both discovered sex at the same time.
Wait. Sorry, just to clarify, I'm talking about like asking somebody on a date. I'm not talking about
right. Well, even then, you were introduced by your parents, or you went to church for 10 years together, and you just knew each other. We've eroded that away, right? Like we've said, okay, that doesn't matter anymore. We don't even keep kids together in the same classes anymore like we used to. We bounce them around so they don't make those fundamental attachments that they used to in life, right? And so what you end up with is kids that get out of high school. A lot of them have body counts, but they don't have any sense of being able to form a relationship or even wanting to form a relationship, right? Because in their mind, it's just fun. It's going to hook up, whatever. And they carry that through college. And look, most people will tell you that just women are guilty of this, but I will tell you men and women are guilty of this. Neither one of them really want to settle down. They just want to have fun. They want to get through college, and now they want to go to work. And all of a sudden, one day they wake up and you've got, a 28, 29, 30-year-old woman who's like, fuck, I need to get married and have some kids, or I want a real relationship. I want a real life. But the problem is that all the men that are 28, 29, 30, they're looking at 24, 25, and 26-year-olds, if not younger, because they can. And I'm going to tell you, because that's what I did.
I'm very curious right now. Can I ask a question?
Let me answer Fuck It Button, and then you can ask your question. I promise. I don't know why Grid uses the name Unreasonable Man. He's always the most reasonable with wisdom that clutch kicks for fun. I like the clutch kick reference. That's funny. An Unreasonable Man comes from the George Bernard Shaw play from 1907 of Men and Supermen, where Shaw proposes or theorizes that through evolution, the best men will mate with the best women, and their progeny will be the best children, and they will mate, and so on and so forth. And all of the plebes will just continue to marry plebes, and they will stay plebeian, and you will have these supermen and superwomen at the top, and the plebeian normal folk way down at the bottom, and that's what society was going to bring. Obviously, he was a fucking communist socialist. Fuck, that's okay. Sorry, Socrates. And
damn commie.
And I mean, look, George Orwell unfriended, or pardon me, H.G. Wells unfriended him. So I mean, you got to be pretty fucking bad.
Unfriended him. Oh no, did he block him too?
I think he blocked him. But at any rate, in of Men and Supermen, he makes a really good quote. It's been quoted throughout history wrong, but it's and I'm going to paraphrase here just for brevity. The reasonable man accepts things for what they are and changes to suit the world around him. The unreasonable man rejects the norm and forces the world to change around him. And therefore, all change must come from unreasonable men. And that's why I'm an unreasonable man. Change must happen. I can't be reasonable about it. I sound reasonable, but I'm not reasonable about it. And that is where the name comes from. I know. Who knew I was so well read?
I like it.
I've only read Harry Potter, Grid. Sorry, I didn't know that information.
I read Harry Potter too.
I'm kidding. I didn't read any fucking. That's
gay, Grid. Oh, dude,
no, I didn't. I'm making a joke, dude.
I read a lot. So yeah, that's where that all comes from. I'm sorry. You may go, Beth.
You're fine. Stop. Don't apologize to me. I'm a woman.
Never apologize.
I can figure out polite. Actually, it was asked in my chat what the panel thinks is a high body count for a man.
What is a high body count for a man?
Yeah.
That's a good question, actually.
Do
you want to start, Grid?
I'm going to be honest with you. I had a period of degeneracy in my life. I think I've been pretty open about this, right? Like I'll give you I'll tell Socrates, who probably doesn't know, and Hen, who thinks I'm a nice person.
We get Grid's body count.
Oh boy.
Well, I mean, not exactly. I don't know exactly what it is. I didn't know there was a
order of magnitude.
You didn't
hundreds of thousands.
I didn't keep a list. I mean, I kept a list till I was like 21 or so. But then the list didn't matter anymore.
Oh my God.
So I had a little bit of a career during high school because I looked really, really good in my uniform. And I'm just telling you, dudes, if you want to get laid, uniforms matter. The second, I went to college. I had a little bit of a career there, maybe a little bit more than a little bit. But I thought I was going to get married twice. I was engaged, and both times external forces just didn't happen. I'm going to be honest with you. At one point, I kind of thought God was telling me something. It's like, dude, you're just not getting married. Just don't do it. And so I decided that I wasn't going to have any permanent relationships, because at that time, it came that time in my life where I was getting out of college and I needed to focus on my life. I needed to focus on, building the things to make my life better. And to be honest with you, I didn't, there was no woman that would have tolerated how I spent money or my time. Literally, I promise you that I would have been divorced at least 5 or 6 times if I had bothered to get married during that period of time. And I just didn't want to go through that. I watched other people go through it, and I thought that was a loser proposition. So I had no serious relationships. I dated purely for sex. I did, and I only date, and dating was putting it that's as nicely as I can put it. I actively avoided good girls who had who needed to find a husband, right? I didn't have anything to do with those girls at all.
That's a good thing.
I do have some morals, or I did in that period of time. And then, and that lasted from I was about 24 until I was 34. And I had a relationship with a girl, and I thought, hey, it's time for me to get married. My career's I'm at the top of my game. I'm ready I can now settle down in one location for more than a month or so. It's time, make it happen. And I was married within a year. So my body count is really, really close to triple digits. It's not quite there. And I'll be honest, I'm totally honest. I was a degenerate. I absolutely was.
There you go.
How about the other gentleman on the panel?
Yeah, what's too high for a man? I guess I would have to go by the stats on this one. Like the average body count for a guy in the at least in the United States, from what I know, is eight, right? 8 on a lifetime. So I would say anything above 8 would probably be too much. But however,
holy shit,
myself,
really bad shape.
Yeah, we are. Well, even if you compare it to the 1960s, it was 4, so it has doubled. With women, it's also doubled. So I'm just saying, for me personally, I would say, yeah, that's too much. I guess too much for a guy. But let's be honest, men's brains wiring is much different than women. So I would say it's much more damaging for women to be above that threshold than men, as far as the psychological point of view of that.
Socrates. Or sorry, Jake. Go ahead.
I mean, I was kind of done there on that. But go ahead, Socrates. What's too high for guys?
I mean,
too much
okay. I think this is a really personal like determination to make, right? I actually don't have any like I don't think there's like an objective answer to that. Like if you were 10,000,
yeah, I don't think there's an objective.
Fascinating.
Would you say like if a guy had 10,000, like you'd say like that's kind of too much, like your Genghis Khan here? Like Genghis Khan had a lot, right? You'd say that's a little too
probably
much.
Not even
right.
That's like a little too much there.
He was a role model.
Like you got to have an opinion on this here, dude.
Yeah, I mean it's really like a person. So like I don't know. I mean for me or for somebody, if I was talking to a friend,
like
and I'm
in
like,
general,
oh,
yeah.
Like it's so about what you're like interested in or what you're going after, or like if somebody is like really focused on hooking up with tons of people and they're still interested in that, then that should tell you something about their lifestyle and whether that's compatible with yours. If there's something in their past, I don't think it matters.
Like if she was a former
that,
if she was a former prostitute, she had 10,000 guys, but now she's like reformed, she found Jesus, then it's like, yeah, that doesn't matter.
Oh, then no.
It's not. Stay away. Okay, so
that's
kind of the question.
Jesus? No.
Oh, not the Jesus part you don't like.
It's the
okay.
Jesus part. Yeah.
Okay, well, she found the Democratic Party and now she's not a whore. Then would you say like, yeah, forgiven, not too much?
Yeah, I
found the
Republican Party.
Not a whore.
I don't have this conception of sex that there's like something to forgive. That's a very like Catholic, I think, way of thinking about that.
Yeah,
like, I have to repent.
I'm going to agree with Socrates here. It's not a matter for me. It's not a matter of forget. I can't forgive anybody. That's God's job.
Or no, okay, but like I don't think there's a sin of two people consensually like having sex with each other. Like why would there be? Why would that be? Who's that harming?
Well, I think this kind of is going to play into my next question, which is that we often hear that like men look at sex very differently and almost to a sense don't value it the same way that women do, right? For women, most women, not all, but most women.
Well, that's actually a great conversation. Let me read this, and I want to get into that. That's a great conversation. Grid, at least you admit you were single because of how selfish you were. A lot of men here won't admit that.
I think they would. Yeah, I think a lot of men would admit that.
But it wasn't just because I was being selfish about it. I was just really brutally. I'm a brutally honest person. I'm brutally honest with myself, and
yeah,
I would have been a horrible boyfriend. Why do I want to damage like undamaged women? Right? Like that's dumb.
That's great that you didn't do that then.
That is awesome because there's a lot of guys who really don't even consider that.
Or what about damaging women that are already damaged? Like, there's no point in return at that point. Let's like that. I think that's what a lot of men are doing if they're hanging out in these clubs and shit, right?
It's worse than that because they're all like, I want a good girl. I want a woman with a low body count. And then they bang her and they dump her and move on to the next one. And then they complain about there not being enough women with low body counts.
They just want someone gullible.
I don't.
I agree with you. I agree with you, Jake.
I got it. Yeah. I was going to say I disagree with Beth on that take there, actually.
Not all men, but there's.
Well, I just think that.
Do that.
Look, this is, nobody's ever going. Let me rephrase. It's going to be very hard to get people to agree around this specific subject because our personal opinions are more important than any metric that we could give you, right? Like I can tell you, for example, that I personally think the whole pair bonding thing is a fucking myth and it's bullshit. Yeah. I also think that the way the red pill says with that, that sex is the most important part of a relationship. That's bullshit. That's me. I think that there's other people out there who, as far as they're concerned, the minute the sex dies, the relationship dies. right?
Well, the sex is something that is always that it kind of needs to be built up between you, right? Because you have to be able to be comfortable with your partner to talk about what you like, what you want, and then it's something that's going to ebb and flow and change depending on what's going on. And I think it's one of the responsibilities within the relationship in order to act, to keep it at a point where it can be the glue that holds you together.
But here's the problem with body count. Nobody fucking knows.
Yeah. But
there's not a digital readout on her hip that
there should be a leaderboard.
Yeah, there's no leaderboard. Yeah, there's no leaderboard. You're not gonna fucking know. Literally, Lily Phillips, who just did 1,000 dudes in 24 hours, could roll up into your town. Nobody fucking knows who she is, and she could claim to have never had sex before.
And there's no way to tell, and there's no effect on a person from having done that.
Should be a tattoo dot system working down the leg.
I need a car.
Well, I don't know, man. I mean, if she has kids, you can assume that she's had sex before, but
not always. Not always. I've read about Christianity.
What?
Oh,
right. I got you there. I was like, wait, what? Okay, I got you there.
So, but no, look. I mean, I think that the body count argument is a cope for red pill men to reject the sexuality of women. I don't have a problem with women that enjoy sex. I don't have a problem with women that want to go out and have a lot of partners. I have a problem with women who want to go out and have a lot of partners who then can change clothes and be chaste. And
okay. You don't want them to take off the unicorn. You want to carve.
I have a problem with that mentally. Look, I have a problem with that mentally.
I have a problem with both, actually. I got to disagree with Greg. I know you do.
I know you do.
But maybe I'm that red pill incel that people have been talking about or whatever. But look, at the end of the day, I'm just saying I don't think it's an issue that men would sit there. Like, for example, this is an argument that Glenn Lawrence has given me, right? He says, well, the Fresh and Fit audience are full of incels. And they make fun of the woman, but those are the ones subscribing to their OnlyFans, right?
Yep.
At the end of the day, you can't actually sit there and say it's the red pill men that are subscribing to their OnlyFans because they came out on Fresh and Fit. If you're going to make the argument that, because they're calling them whores and bitches and this shit in the chat or whatever the case is, usually with 20,000 people watching, there's probably like maybe a good 500 that are commenting, and then the other 1,500 are not commenting at all. They're just watching. How do you know those are not the guys that are just hate watching or just watching it for entertainment purposes that are subscribing to these OnlyFans? Not only that, they promote it on TikTok, right? There's clips that are being posted everywhere by other people.
Yeah,
it goes higher than just to say it's the red pill men.
I don't know that's the.
No, it's not.
I don't think so either.
Men who watched OnlyFans.
No, of course not. That's what I'm saying. Like, Glenn has given up this argument to me, and I totally disagree with that concept.
But almost all of those men who are complaining about OnlyFans watch OnlyFans.
Give me one second.
That's a fact, though.
I'm going to open the panel up.
Yeah.
I'm going to open the panel up. I am going to be selective, but the link is posted in the mod chat. You go to the waiting room in the in the shed, my Discord, and go to the waiting room. Say, hey, I want a link. If the mods like you, they'll give it to you. If they don't like you, tough shit. I'm not going to make the mods do what they don't want to do. But if they like you and you're vetted, you can come up. If I like you, and if I don't like you, you may sit in the back for a while. I'm in a mood. I'm sorry. I am. Angel Berber says, I believe the red pill adopts that stance to justify their secularism from a moral level because they understand feminism is what offers them so much promiscuity because of lack of shame. Absolutely. I let off with that tonight, Angel. I don't know if you were in here to hear that, but that's absolutely true. My problem is that I don't care about the number of bodies. I care about the behavior. Okay. If a chick is acting like a slutty bimbo, I don't have anything to do with it. Right. I don't care if she's got 3 bodies if she acts like a slut. I don't give a shit. I don't want to be anywhere near that girl.
So
sorry?
Do you think that men actually value sex differently from how women do with the way that we do that emotional connection? And why do you think it's
I can't answer for all men. I can tell you that,
all, of course.
I can't tell you for all men, but I'll tell you what. So for me, so I have this weird thing. Socrates is going to laugh at me. I believe that you only get so many chances in life at love. I believe that you meet people along your way through life. You can say God put them there. You can say they just happen to be your type, and I think but I don't think you get but a few. And you hit it off. You have a great time, and then your behavior, whether you're, and look, I'll tell you, my first fiance was perfect for me. Right up until her mom died and she went batshit crazy, which is an acceptable reason to go batshit crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, for a short period of time. And I understood that she didn't want to see me because her mom had Alzheimer's, and her mom would forget her sister and remember me, and that is something that is, just fucked with her head. And she's like, every time I look at you, I get angry, and I can't be around you. Do you know what a 21-year-old dude reacts to that conversation? You know how that goes?
You're kind of like, yeah, well, fuck you, bitch.
Not exactly, but it was kind of like, well,
I think it's kind of funny.
Back from this one, I'm not back from this one. Like, there's no. I'm not. I mean, there's nothing from Tiffany's that's gonna fix this shit. And, right? And so I had to let that one go. And the second one, she was 99%, like 99.9% perfect. But no, I'm not going to say that. She flipped a car.
Holy shit! She turned into She-Hulk, or what the fuck?
She was in the rain. She was mad. She had to go to court over a ticket. She flipped a car, slid it on its roof.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Near-death experience.
I think me and Jake were both.
Yeah. I thought she turned into
She got mad and she flipped the car.
No.
Fuck you, Grid.
She just hydroplaned in the rain because she was driving angry and fucking had a near-death experience. Went like I'm Christian, but this chick went like off the. She dropped out of school. Literally. She became a missionary. She did all kind and just, and so I mean, and again, not coming back from that. I'm sorry, it wasn't going to happen. And after that, I'm like, hey, that's 2. It's probably not number 3 anytime soon. So that's when I made a conscious choice to become a degenerate. And also that, I really did feel like God was telling me, stop fucking up. I don't know. Like, you're just not meant to be married right now. And when I met my wife, there was nothing about her that didn't tell me she was going to be my wife. Like, literally every single thing was right. To this day, I look at all other women and none of them compare to her. And I think if you don't have that, you need to keep looking.
Yeah.
And, so again, I knew Socrates was going to laugh at me because it's almost a liberal thing to say, right? But I just didn't believe.
Gay thing to say?
Huh?
You mean gay thing to say?
What's the difference?
What's the difference?
Yeah, right. I mean, I don't think that you can. I think a lot of people try and force relationships because they get desperate. Yeah. I think people try and overlook things when they should be like, no, I can't deal with that, right? And they just really need to be super honest with you. They need to be super honest with what they're really looking for in a relationship, right?
Yeah.
And I don't think that people are. I don't, and honestly, I mean, I certainly I think feminism allows people to lie to themselves, but I also think red pill allows people to lie to themselves. And,
Greg, can I ask you a question?
Yeah, man.
Okay, so because you were mentioning the body count earlier, I think you made a statement saying that, well, I don't care if she has 3 body counts. If she's acting like a whore, I don't even want anything to do with her. That's perfectly reasonable. Yeah. Perfectly reasonable. Yeah. But wouldn't you say that body count is kind of a huge component to how women act like sluts?
I think it can be for sure. But people change. People can change overnight. I've watched it. Look, I watched my ex-fiance go from someone who literally thought I hung the moon and sun and the stars, and I was the thing. I was the center of her life. Mm-hmm. And within a day, she couldn't be around me.
Sure.
It's quite a swing.
People can change. People do change all the time. You yourself were a rock musician. You were on the road. You were drinking and living hard.
It was fun.
Now look at you. You're a respectable government employee.
Yeah, for sure. And I totally agree with that, man. I get the changing part of those things, but as a guy in the dating market, I would say that I would want to avoid.
I think you have to be careful.
Chicks with a high body count, strictly because they might look like they're a church girl, but you gotta take things with a grain of salt.
But again, you don't know.
Yeah, sure,
she could tell you she has 3 and she has 300.
Sure, but she could also be on it because a lot of the girls that I've dated, they, especially liberal chicks at the time, they maybe they were dishonest, but they did tell me that it was like, I've had 15 bodies, right? And they're thinking it's not high because compared to me, it's low, right? So they're more likely to be a little bit more honest. But at the same time, in the back of my head, I'm like, no, thank you, right? But you can kind of get honesty. So whether they're lying or telling the truth, if you're going to lie, you'd rather go lower than that 15 because they don't even know my threshold of what high is in the first place. Yeah. So I think that's how you kind of go about it when you're asking women about that topic. Now, you're never going to know, I get it, but I think you can get a pretty good idea. Especially
I judge people on their behavior that I observe.